so we can see what the top looks like, if that's how you view it.
Okay.
You'll find out.
Because those are under.
They're underground countries.
So this is set on like what people value in life. So they pretty much just ask these people from different places what they value. So in the top quadrant, you'll see there's a 0 axis in the middle, on top, in the middle, and on the bottom.
So if you kind of draw a line
Yeah, so it's like
through it, maybe in the quadrants.
Which one is the closest to do that?
And so to help understand this, in the lower left-hand quadrant, there would be people that really value religion and they would have to worry about their survival more than like what people think of them or their economic status. And then in the upper left-hand corner, you have the secular, which is they don't really care about religion as much, but they still have the means of they need to survive more than anything. And then in the lower right-hand quadrant, you have the self-expressionists, so they worry about like what people can spend and getting their own point across, and traditional values, so they value religion. And the U.S. is in there, if you'll find the little chart thing. And then we have in the upper right-hand corner the secular self-expressionists, so they care what people think about them and they don't really have a religion. So what we did is we looked up some of the countries that are on the map and we looked at their gross domestic product of what they like to put out. So sort of so you could get like their economical status. And so the ones on the top are really high in economics, like the U.S. is on top, and China over there, and ones like that. And then on the bottom, we have different ones. So we have ones like El Salvador and Peru and Uganda, and they aren't really high in, kind of output.
So these are kind of like, if you look at these, they're kind of like giant three-dimensional pillars. There's a part that is up and a part that is below the plane, which is what they're trying to show with the flags, but they would have to look up all these countries, so what they did is they looked up a couple of examples that were above it and a couple of examples that were below it. So this really is a 3-axis, okay, and that's why, the Inglehart 3-axis, that's why it's called that. And they had a hard time finding the 3rd axis, because they came to me a few times and it was like, we don't get it, where's the 3rd axis? So they finally went, it's economic, and that's why you have these different countries in here, and the difference between them, whether they be on top of the bubble or on the bottom of the bubble, is whether they're economic.
And it's kind of hard to tell, but we did some where like there were a lot of low economical countries, like Africa has like 3 on the bottom and only 1 on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like that in the Islamic region too.
Cool. Good way of showing it. So,
Well, the original one is measuring what they value, but we went off of like
So this is the
how what they value kind of affects
down
their
is
economic status.
more not religious.
right. These lower left is people who have very traditional values but have to work hard to survive. Okay. So they're going to base their decision.
Like what they value and what their economic.
We didn't look up all of the countries, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with it. Because like in the survivalist region, a lot of them are pretty low on the scale.
And if you, now, if you think about it, it seems like this doesn't have a lot to do with politics, but if you really, with political philosophy, but if you look at it, if you combine the traditional values with the survival values with the economic status, you begin to imagine that a specific political philosophy emerges from that. And so if you're looking in the lower left-hand column, the lower left-hand side, the southwest side, what you see in the Islamic nations are very often very strict dictatorial governments. There's stratification as far as there's a ruling class But there's a lot of people just trying to get by as well. The masses tend to be poorer, even though the nations in the Middle East are rich. And then if you, you know, if you just kind of think of it that way, you can kind of see from their Africa one, there's one on top and three on the bottom. That's kind of how Africa falls out. There's masses and masses of poor people, economically disadvantaged, trying to survive with some traditional values. They're constantly fighting to get to that top. So you have a lot of dictators who take advantage of the masses of poor.
So is survival like how poor the people are, or is that just like how hard it is to survive in that country?
That's how hard it is to survive in that country.
Surprising
So it
how
could
far
actually
Russia-
take into account environmental conditions, warfare, conditions of warfare and conflict. How difficult is it to survive in that particular country?
Interesting how far Russia is for that.
Well,
Because I wouldn't think Russia would be very hard to survive.
well, certain parts of Russia maybe, but Russia itself, after the collapse in the mid-90s, the mid-80s, it came out that they really weren't as well off as we thought, and it's taken them a good 20 years to even build up to where they are economically. They still aren't doing too well. You get in the cities, you're probably okay, but further out, they have a lot of rural poverty. Plus, think about this, Russia has a limited amount of growing season. Those people are surviving on Brussels sprouts and broccoli, because those are cold weather crops. They can't, they have to count on other countries to give them things like wheat. So they have to trade with Ukraine for wheat. They don't have large oil supplies, that's why they keep attacking Georgia. So immediately you start to see some political stuff coming in here. How do we negotiate with other countries for the things we need? And that's why they're further to the left side of the thing. Good point. So it kind of, when you started thinking about their economic status, did it make more sense to you? Did this,
It just helps see the correlation.
okay, because when you look at it first, you're like, and why are all these countries together?
Yeah.
Is it
Well, and I should
strictly?
point out, like, it really doesn't have much to do with their geographical location as much as their,
Good afternoon, students. Just a reminder that all new swimmers are to pick up their uniforms in the gym attic after school.
And then
Again, all new
Similar.
swimmers are to pick up their uniforms in the gym attic after
ideas
school.
seem
Thank
to
you.
spread through regions, and so if you've got a more secular view, it will spread through that region of maybe say Europe, and you're gonna see a lot of countries close together that share the same ideals. I mean, you kind of look at Europe before World War II, and you've got kind of movements of ideas. You look at Europe in the 1700s, and you get movements of ideas. So, but you're not gonna see, John Locke making any sense to the Chinese in the 1700s. They're probably, huh? Well, but even translated, it's not gonna make a big impact on them. But you are gonna see people like Confucius making good strides there, and it's gonna spread through the region. Very nice, good job.